It's holiday season, and we want to celebrate with our family and friends and participate in culinary traditions, eat all of our favourite festive foods, and make beautiful memories. But a lot of the holiday foods are difficult to digest. It's joyful while we're eating them, and then the food coma kicks in. We feel gassy and bloated, and you just want to take a nap. Then the inflammation and the aches and pains and maybe a bit of extra weight and sleep issues creep in, which creates a long holiday hangover that can be difficult to recover from. So rather than depriving ourselves of the foods that we love or stressing about our food choices, we can enjoy the holidays in balance and stay on track with our health goals and have fun at the same time. So every year I send an email out to our community with strategies on how to do this, and it is always the most popular email of the year. So I'm sharing the tips on the podcast today, so you have it in audio. If you're a member of our community, this will be a great reminder. If not, I hope these tips are useful. So let's dive in. So let's find a balance of self-care and fun. I adopt a really gentle and fluid approach during the holidays, and I don't allow deprivation or stress around food to dampen my holiday spirit. I choose to feel zero guilt about anything that I'm eating. I indulge, I enjoy food with family and friends, and I just offset the food that I'm eating with some of the strategies that I'm going to share with you so that I can participate and make all these beautiful memories and also feel really good at the same time. So we absolutely can avoid the stomach pains, the gas, the bloating, the fatigue, the all-round feeling of, I just feel heavy. We all know what that feels like. So in our Skinny 60 community, we've got a mantra of good, better, or best, not perfect. It's a mantra that I've shared many times on the podcast. Many of our guests have shared it. It's such a beautiful way to move through the world, just taking the pressure off of ourselves to be perfect or make better choices all the time. We're just aiming to make the next choice and learn from it. So just make the best choices that you can. Find that balance in any given moment. You're not going to undo all of your great work throughout the year. This idea that, if I have a really indulgent vacation or holiday season, I'm going to undo all of that great work I've done to lose weight, to improve my gut health and digestion, my blood sugar, my blood pressure, cholesterol. I'm sleeping through the night now. I don't want to put on all this weight. Here's what's really cool about the human body. If you've laid a really strong foundation, the body rebounds really quickly. It's got a memory and it wants to return to that state if you nourish your body effectively and you support recovery from that kind of binge eating session that we often do during the holidays. So those of you in our Skinny 60 community who've done our 60-day reset have felt this before, where you've laid that strong foundation in 60 days. Your gut health's better, your digestion's better, you're sleeping through the night, you're at your goal weight, your blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar's all regulated. You're just feeling fantastic. You don't have those aches and pains, that inflammation. And then you eat a bunch of these foods with lots of sugar, maybe gluten, dairy, things that, we know are difficult to digest. And then you sort of start to drag a little bit. And then you implement some of these strategies that I'm going to share. And then you just rebound and you start to feel really great again. So just resist that urge to feel paralyzed about your food choices. You actually have more control than you think you do. So be proactive. Be really prepared. We know that preparation is so much a part of success. So as I'm going into the holiday season, I always fill up my fridge and freezer and pantry with really healthy staples so that I can fridge forage and I can put together really easy, quick, healthy meals in amongst all of the celebrations. So make some healthy recipes that you love, freeze them in portions, have some leafy greens, some different colored vegetables, some fruit, some nuts, seeds, olive oil, lemon juice, avocados, cucumber, different kinds of protein. I've always got that stuff sitting in the house so that I can put together healthy meals and snacks in and around some of the parties. So let's talk about eating out. So we're all going to holiday parties and events. So if there is a holiday party planned, I will offer to host. I'm big on controlling the situation, so I know that there's going to be healthy offerings for not just myself, but other people that I know want to remain healthy. And people love my food anyway, so I know it's always going to be a hit. So those of you in the Skinny 60 community, there's tons of recipes for you. Those of you who have the Blender Girl cookbooks, there's hundreds of recipes there. There's hundreds of free recipes on the Blender Girl website. So many wonderful options. And then, of course, there's so many recipes out there from other people as well. So when you know that there's recipes that have been popular with your family and friends that are also healthy, you can draw on those staples to think about what you can make. So I offer to host. Or I offer to bring some things, and I've never had anyone say no to me. So either offer to host or offer to bring some things. And then you know that there's going to be some healthy things on offer. The other thing is that unless I know that people have dietary preferences, food allergies, food intolerances or they're on a special kind of protocol where they need to know, for example, if something's got gluten or dairy or nuts in it. If I don't have any of those people, I don't qualify any of the dishes that I serve with, oh, this is gluten-free, dairy-free, it's sugar-free, it's really healthy, or, it's from this program that I'm doing. Because the minute I do that, a lot of people will screw up their nose. They'll already have a preconceived notion that it's not going to taste good, and the dish just sits there languishing. And a lot of people in our community report the same thing. So unless you need to say anything about it, just slide it onto the table with everything else. And often I'll just say, oh, yeah, you've got to try this. I absolutely love it. Or my family loves it. It's so delicious. Don't miss having a bite. Got to try it. And guess what the dishes that go first? And everybody wants the recipe. It's the ones that I've brought. So pick your dishes wisely, pick things that look delicious. People take the first bite with their eyes and just enjoy it with everybody else. The other strategy that I use all the time, if I know that I'm going to an event where there's, I can't control the situation, and I know that there's not going to be a lot of things that I'm even going to want to eat, let alone can eat, I always go with a full stomach. So I eat before I go to the party. The worst thing that I can do is going hungry where I'm starving, and then I'm going to have to eat something, even whether I want to eat it or not. So eat something healthy. If it's an evening event, eat healthy throughout the day. Make sure you have a salad or some vegetables, hydrate really well, have some healthy snacks with you so that you can participate. It's not like I stand there and don't eat anything, but you just can have a little bit and participate, but you're not ravenous. So then you're not tempted to binge eat. The other thing that I do is that I eat quite a bit of fermented foods before I go to the event to offset all of those foods that are going to feed, all of that bad army, so to speak, in my gut. So I've populated my gut with probiotics. I also will take digestive enzymes with me. We've spoken about this with Megan, our lead dietitian, on some of the podcast episodes. There is quite a bit of misconception about digestive enzymes. So there is no digestive enzyme that digests gluten. So this idea that, let's say you're gluten intolerant, you don't eat gluten, but you're going to go and have some pie or crusty bread or whatever it might be. I'm going to have it, but you're not a celiac, so you can have it, but it's not going to make you feel so great. Saying I'm going to eat it and then popping an enzyme won't help you digest the gluten. You may also be intolerant to the FODMAPs, the specific carbohydrates in those gluten-containing foods. So if you missed that episode with Megan last month about FODMAPs, that might be an interesting one for you to learn about, just why some of these foods may be causing gas, bloating, and digestive distress. But there are enzymes that can digest nuts and seeds, for example, can help you digest dairy. So we know that we produce digestive enzymes, but we produce less of them as we age. So it is a prudent approach to supplement maybe with some digestive enzymes if you're over 40. But as we're going to go in and eat some of these foods that maybe we're not used to eating, digestive enzymes may be something that you want to do. I might also take a probiotic supplement, pop a probiotic in the morning, pop one when I get home at night. I'll hydrate really well. And I do some coconut water kefir before I go to bed and brush my teeth. And it just kind of helps to balance out, all of those foods. Remember, there is a war raging inside our gut all the time between the good army and the bad army. There's billions of different microbes. Some are beneficial, some are hostile. Some support better health, some do not. So all of these festive fun foods and the sugar and, the additives, preservatives and things that are in processed foods and packaged foods, they feed the bad army. And so we want to be populating our gut and feeding the good army with probiotic-rich fermented foods. So that's sauerkraut, kimchi, brine fermented vegetables, beet kvass, water kefir, coconut water kefir, milk kefirs. There's just so many fermented foods. Again, those of you in Skinny 60 know all about this because there's such huge education. So go in, look at some of the recipes. There's also some fermented food recipes on theblendergirl.com. So everything in moderation. is another great mantra. I mean, that's a great mantra for life in general, but during the holidays, enjoy your favorite indulgent foods in balanced amounts. So, for example, one bite of, not one bite, one piece of apple pie and a scoop of ice cream instead of 2 or 3 pieces of pie with, multiple scoops of ice cream. Just enjoy it, and just do it in balance. So if you are someone that, you know that you're intolerant to gluten, there are so many fantastic gluten-free pies, gluten-free desserts, wonderful recipes. If you don't want to bake, there's gluten-free bakeries. The gluten-free products are getting so much more sophisticated now. So that may be something that you want to do. Likewise, if you know you're going to have ice cream, cream, there's so many dairy-free options if you know that you don't tolerate dairy very well. So just be prepared. And I always test things because not all gluten-free, dairy-free products are good. And I've sort of got this yardstick. If it's not a 9 or a 10 out of 10 where it's really, really close or you can't tell the difference with the real thing, then I'm going to take it. If it's sort of, okay, it's passable, but really only people that are used to eating that are going to enjoy it, then I'm not taking it because people just aren't going to enjoy it and they're going to feel like they're missing out. Another approach that I really, really love is the 80-20 approach. So in terms of your plate composition, when you're picking foods, off the buffet or off of the big family dinner table and you're putting your plate together for the holidays, 80% of it, just pile it up with the vegetables, the vegetable sides, the salad, the leafy greens, etc. And then 20% is all of those fun foods. Remember that a lot of the packaged foods, the processed foods, the things that contain gluten, dairy, sugar, they're cooked for a long time. They don't contain a lot of water, so they're very dehydrating. They don't often contain a lot of fiber, and they're often acid forming. So I call the holidays an acidic orgy because we're eating a lot of acid-forming foods. So we want to be also eating some alkaline-forming foods. So that's your non-starchy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower, broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, leafy greens, cucumber, avocado, bell peppers. They're all alkaline-forming foods. So making sure that we're getting some of those foods into our body in amongst all those acid-forming foods. So the other big one is eating until you're just satisfied, not full. And I know that's easier said than done, particularly when, you get to eat this once a year because grandma's made, this apple pie that she loves. I've got apple pie on the brain today, don't I? And you're going to eat it because that's what you do every year. Like we've got our family favorites. My mum makes this brandy sauce. We have Christmas pudding. There's certain foods that just our family has been eating for decades and decades. It's always on the family table. You're not missing out on it. So just be thinking about the fact that food takes a while to hit our guts and our bellies and everywhere else, right? So you might go, and shoveling it in and then, 20, 30, 40 minutes later, it's like, I ate too much, So to avoid that feeling, just be mindful about, what? I think I've had enough. I'll just pace myself. And I know there's more coming an hour from now or 2 hours from now. So you can just avoid that feeling of feeling completely stuffed and not being able to move off the couch. We've all been there. And just remembering to stay really hydrated. Like I said, a lot of these foods are really dehydrating. So animal foods, processed foods, alcohol, added sugars, they all dehydrate the body. So drinking more water and water-based beverages like herbal teas, steeped water, just more than you normally would. So I will often set an alarm on my phone. I know that's not very festive and people might laugh at you, but just reminding yourself just to drink a glass of water every, 60, 90 minutes, every couple of hours, just making sure that you're staying hydrated. Another way to stay hydrated is eating some raw plant foods throughout the day. So making sure one meal a day is a raw meal. So it might be breakfast if you're going to festive lunch or festive dinner, having a side salad, could just be half of an avocado, a little bit of chopped cucumber, some celery, people often serve salads on the table, just making sure you're picking up something raw on the table in amongst all of the cooked food. Remember, when we cook foods, we're ostensibly dehydrating them. So we're pulling the water out of them to varying degrees. So we want to make sure we're replenishing our body with that mineral-rich, alkaline-forming water that's going to support better health. With alcohol, that's also very dehydrating. But, That's just something that we do. We drink a beautiful glass of wine, we have eggnog, or, whatever it might be. So it doesn't mean that you don't want to partake in that with your friends and family, but in moderation again. So a great strategy is a glass of alcohol, glass of water. Even better, glass of alcohol, 2 glasses of water. If you know that alcohol just doesn't agree with you, you don't drink alcohol. There's so many non-alcoholic mocktails, wines, all kinds of things. It's getting to be a very sophisticated space now. So there are options. You could even take a mocktail. There's so many fabulous recipes. There's some on the Blender Go website, in the cooking club, if you're a member of the Skinny 60 cooking club. So many options where you can be enjoying yummy things, but you don't necessarily have to consume alcohol. I talked about pushing the probiotics. I want to talk about that again, because when you're drinking alcohol, you're eating all of these foods. I just want to give you a little bit more specific direction about this, because that bad army that we're feeding with all of these different foods, with alcohol, with the stress, with lack of sleep, we're burning the candle at both ends. I always do a quarter to a half a cup of fermented sauerkraut, kimchi, fermented pickles with lunch and dinner. If I'm having a savory breakfast, I will also do it then. If you are not used to eating fermented foods, they are so powerful and they clean. They want to exit the bad guys to the door. So you want to start very, very small with just 1 forkful. See how your body responds. And if you don't get loose stools, which can happen, then maybe you want to do 2 forkfuls the next day. You just don't want to go in hard, particularly with coconut water, kefir, and some of these other fermented beverages. You may be paying homage to the toilet bowl more than you would like, if you know what I mean. So I've talked about this on other episodes when I'm just, when I want something and I learn about something, I used to just go all in, and whoosh, did it have some dire consequences. So I remember many, many years ago, I got some coconut water kefir and I drank the whole bottle. And let me tell you, excuse my language, I was shitting through the eye of a needle, if you know what I mean. It cleaned me out and I had diarrhea for 2 days. So learn from my mistakes. Less is more with this stuff. It's incredibly potent. These are medicinal foods. They are so incredibly good for your gut, but you want to start small if you're not used to having them. So I mentioned coconut water kefir. There's also water kefir, beet kvass. If you don't like fermented foods, you're not used to them, then go for some probiotic capsules. Add one to a smoothie, have one in the morning. I like to have one at night during the holidays as well before I brush my teeth. And then you lie down and then all the probiotics just sort of multiply like gremlins while you're horizontal. So I'm a big one on that. And while I'm talking about supplements, as Megan, our lead dietitian who's been on the podcast several times, those of you in Skinny 60 know her really well. We're not big on supplements. We're not anti-supplements, but we really adopt a food-forward approach where, we can eat fermented foods that are just loaded with probiotics. So, but there are some supplements that you can discuss with your practitioner, which might maximize the results of this agenda, and make you feel better. So I certainly use some of the supplements I'm going to talk about during the holidays when I'm traveling, things like that. They're really wonderful. So glutamine, particularly the Metagenics Glutagenics, which is a brand that is really the gold standard for glutamine. A lot of practitioners, dietitians, gastroenterologists, doctors will recommend this to their patients. Glutamine is an amino acid. The Metagenics Glutagenics formula has licorice, aloe. The Metagenics Glutagenics contains other ingredients that really soothe the digestive tract. It can really offset the acid-forming effects of some of these festive foods. If you suffer from acid reflux and then eating some of these foods causes a flare-up and causes you to experience it even more than you normally would, because acid reflux is a systemic issue. Those of you who are members of the 60-day reset know that it's possible to completely eradicate acid reflux with some food and lifestyle strategies. It's really quite thrilling if you've been experiencing it your whole life and then you don't anymore. But you still may experience a flare-up when you eat these foods that cause, these systemic issues and imbalances in our gut. So I'm not suggesting that the Metagenics Glutagenics is a solution. We want to be rebalancing the body with different food and lifestyle choices and better gut health. However, in the moment, if you want to provide immediate relief, taking a scoop of Metagenics Glutagenics in some water can completely ease the acid reflux. So it's a great tool, just a quick tool, kind of almost like a Band-Aid, but it is something that can provide some relief. I talked about the digestive enzymes. So you may want to carry those with you if you're traveling, if you're going to go stay with people for the holidays, have them on hand in your bag. I always travel with them. Magnesium is a great supplement, particularly magnesium glycinate or a blend of different forms of magnesium to take at night just to calm and relax the body. A lot of these foods, particularly if you've eaten a lot of sugar, it's very energizing. It can really disrupt sleep. So just calming the body, just kind of relaxing the body down can be a good strategy so that you can get a good night's sleep. I also travel with liquid chlorophyll. So maybe I know I'm not going to be eating as many greens as I normally do. Chlorophyll is just, it's almost the same molecular structure as the hemoglobin in our blood. It's alkaline forming. It's a powerful detox agent. So we're kind of really overloading the liver during the holidays with foods that are much, much more difficult to digest and assimilate. Alcohol, caffeine, all has a half-life, takes, several hours, about 6 to 8 hours to be fully assimilated by the body. So I will take some liquid chlorophyll. So I like the little concentrated one that I can put in my bag. I always put it in a plastic bag because, gosh, if that thing breaks in your bag gone because it's quite potent. But I'll put it in, maybe some bubble wrap in a Ziploc bag. I'll carry it in kind of like the little inside pocket of my bag. And I'll just put, a pipette full into a 16-ounce glass of water and I'll drink that throughout the day. So that's another thing that I do. I like the mint-flavored liquid chlorophyll. Chloro-Oxygen is one that I like. I'm not affiliated with any of these brands, by the way. They're just the brands that I use and brands that come to mind. So there are some supplements that you may want to use. But again, I add the caveat on this podcast that I'm not a practitioner. I'm certainly not your practitioner. So always run any supplements you may want to be introducing to your life past your practitioner because they may seemingly be innocuous, but they may not be appropriate for you. So those of you in our Skinny 60 community know that we're big on making data-driven decisions about supplements. Keep moving. Just keep your body moving so that you can support the lymphatic system, your liver, your bowels. We want to keep them moving. So we just want to keep the body moving, keep everything moving. So by better digestion and detox must have movement. So going for a walk after meals, even if it's just around the block. If you're in really cold weather in the snow during the holidays, just walk around the house. If you've got a rebounder, jump on the rebounder in the morning, at night, particularly after dinner, just going for gentle walks, just to burn off some calories, keep things moving through the digestive system just to support better digestion. And if you've got a regular workout routine, maintain it. If you don't, just do some gentle movement just so that you can keep things moving. We often, like I was saying before, burn the candle at both ends during the holidays. We don't get a lot of sleep. We don't get a lot of rest. Now, rest and sleep, they're not the same thing. So, everyone, particularly if you eat turkey and, foods with tryptophan, everyone kind of got a turkey coma. And a lot of people take a nap in the afternoon after, Thanksgiving lunch or Christmas lunch or, whatever you're celebrating. Just be mindful of getting enough rest and sleep. This will support your body in regenerating. So eating at home, like I said, there's so many yummy recipes that you can make. So they're all on theblendergirl.com. If you're a member of Skinny 60, our 60-day reset, there's just tons in our recipe center. If you're a member of the cooking club, there's some really delicious holiday recipes, particularly my sweet potato pie. I really, really love it. I've put the recipes at ithastobeme.com/holiday recipes, just so you can find them really quickly. All of the recipes are gluten-free and vegan, and then you can add, animal protein of your choice to them. If you eat animal protein, if you're a vegetarian and eat eggs, you can do that as well. So my favorite go-to soup for the holidays is the Thai pumpkin soup on the Blender Girl website. It is so incredibly delicious, has a mind-blowing flavor, and it's super, super easy. I also love the roasted butternut squash soup, the creamy artichoke soup if you want a white soup. And then the most popular recipe on the Blender Girl website, other than the Taste Like Ice Cream kale shake, which is really good for breakfast on the holidays, by the way, is the cream of cauliflower soup. People absolutely love it. Whole roasted cauliflower is always a beautiful thing to serve on a holiday table. There's a couple of really amazing grain-free stuffing recipes on the Blender Girl website that I really love. The garlic green beans are always on every holiday table. They are so popular. It doesn't matter what your dietary stripes are. People go goo goo gaga for them. Who says you need gobs of cream and butter to make epic mashed potatoes? There are two mashed potato recipes that I absolutely love on the Blender Girl website. There's an olive oil mashed potatoes, and then there's just a delicious, divine, creamy mashed potato where I've made a vegan cream with broth and nuts, and you whip it together with that and broth, and it is absolutely divine, and nobody would know the difference. My mushroom gravy, people literally want to lick that out of the blender. So it's always a hit with everybody. Why buy cranberry sauce when you can make the recipe on the Blender Girl website? It is so delicious, and if you've got any leftovers, it's pretty amazing on ice cream, just saying. If you're looking for mashed sweet potato, there is a divine recipe, and I crush maple candied pecans on top. You can also just make the maple candied pecans and put them on the table. We always make quadruple batches in my house. We take them as hostess gifts. Those maple candied pecans, show me to heaven with a smile on my face. For salads, the kale Caesar salad is always a hit, as is the arugula salad with the lemon mint vinaigrette. I swear I could lick that dressing off my wrists and everything else in sight, and everybody I serve it to agrees. It's always really, really popular. It'll make you look like a gourmet chef in about 20 minutes. For desserts, my go-to holiday dessert is the damp lemon almond cake. It is so ridiculously easy. It's the easiest cake I've ever made. You literally blend it all in the blender, pour it into the springform tin and bake it. That's it. And it is divine. People love it. And it freezes really well. Too. What I'll just say, just in case you don't read the notes, is that you don't want to replace any other flour. It has to be the 4 cups of blanched almond flour. I know it's expensive. I know it takes more to potentially find it. But if you go half and half, the recipe doesn't work. And I've had that happen with people before who didn't read the notes, and then they're disappointed, and I don't want you to be. So I just want to make sure I mention that. There's a cranberry lemon cheesecake on the website that, again, is blend and bake. You're hearing a theme. I don't really like to spend a lot of time on making desserts. I'm a big fan of the blend and bake kind, or the blend and freeze. So the cranberry lemon cheesecake, there's also a chocolate orange torte that's a really popular recipe from the Blender Girl cookbook. Those are my 3 go-to recipes because they're super, super easy. They're really popular, and they all freeze really well. So again, you can find all of those recipes at ithastobeme.com/holiday recipes. Let's talk about some tips for eating out at restaurants, some ordering tips, because we all eat out a lot typically during the holidays. So just when you're scanning a menu, just look for really clean foods. If you're deciding that this is one where you sort of, I've already indulged this week, I'm feeling a bit heavy, I kind of want to do something a little bit more healthy, but you want to participate, is just look for clean grilled protein and vegetables or salad. So if you already know that you want to be gluten-free and dairy-free, just look for those options. Make that a priority. Most restaurants have that very clearly labeled on their menus now. Some people even have a gluten-free or a vegan or a dairy-free menu. So just ask for that. A server will ask if anyone has any food allergies or dietary preferences. That's just a standard thing that, every establishment does now because people don't want to get sued, So it's quite easy to find things and for people to want to accommodate you. Just be avoiding a lot of sugar, if you want to feel better. But if tonight's the night where, we're going to a place where we just love such and such dessert on the menu, then have it, enjoy it, and don't think about it. Just offset it with some of these other strategies that I'm sharing. So if you're at a catering event, for example, just call the venue ahead of time and just ask what kind of options they have. If you call a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, even a few days in advance, people are typically very accommodating. If you're very pleasant and friendly, they want to help you. They want to find solutions because they want to provide good customer service. If for nothing else, they don't want to get a bad review, So most places are happy to accommodate if you give them advance notice. When you arrive at an event space, a catering space, a restaurant, just scan the menu. Ask the server about your options. Like I said, if you're polite, people want to accommodate you. I always, if I don't see something on the main menu, I just go to the vegetable side section. That's where the gold is on every menu. So I will cobble something together. I might order the side salad. I might order the steamed broccoli, sauteed cabbage or the roasted carrots or whatever there might be. I might order a couple, 2 or 3 vegetable sides, see if anyone else on the table wants to share them, and order the side salad, and then I'll toss it all together, get some protein. I might ask for, a half of a lemon. I often travel with a little bottle of olive oil and a lemon in my purse, and high quality salt. Sometimes even an avocado. I'm like Mary Poppins pulling all this stuff out of my bag. Sometimes it's appropriate to do that, and other times, it's not appropriate. So read the room. You don't want to embarrass people, be inappropriate, be rude, that kind of stuff. So sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But I think that those are all ways that you can. Sometimes I have hemp seeds with me, and I will just cobble together a really, really healthy salad. So if you're traveling, you're going to be at airports, train stations, on boats, where you are more limited about what is available to you. You can't just, jump in the car and go to the grocery store. Again, just resist the urge to feel paralyzed, be a slave to your food choices, even say no to a situation because you're worried about things. Frame those sorts of situations as just opportunities to practice making food choices in different situations where you don't have the control. Celebrate the data that you get, and just, again, make a choice and feel good about it and do the best that you can, and just find that balance. Travel doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing or an either or situation. I think it's a both and experience. Remember that being healthy is about what you add, not about what you take away. So just embrace the flexibility. Use those unknown situations as invitations to look at your relationship with food. How do you respond and behave when you're not in control of the situation, where there isn't the structure that you're used to, where things are different and you're not feeling as confident? It's just interesting to just notice it, not with judgment, but just kind of like, oh, interesting. That's what I do when I'm in those sorts of situations. Remember that your relationship with food is a direct reflection of the relationship that you have with other things in your life. When you're on planes, trains, automobiles, boats, carry some things with you. Like I was saying, I have olive oil, I have lemon juice, sometimes I have an avocado or hemp seeds. I mean, it just depends what the situation is. If you can get a salad at the airport or something, get that and take that on the plane. Have some trail mix with some alkaline-forming nuts, some almonds, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. I often will toast seeds. I've got this beautiful spicy mix that I love to make, and I'll have that in my bag. If you eat eggs, boiled eggs are always good. I know they stink, but if you've got them peeled and you've got them in a little container, you eat them quickly. I mean, nobody cares. Vegetable sticks and dips is always a great idea. Order a special meal, think ahead, on the plane and on, ships and things. Gosh, they've got so many options. It's actually much, much easier than it used to be. When you get somewhere, if you do have access to a kitchen, if you're staying with somebody, if you're in an Airbnb, if you're in a serviced apartment, even if you've got a fridge in a hotel room that you can use, I will head to a health food store or a grocery store. I'll pick up some filtered water, some fruit, some vegetables, some nut seeds, olive oil. Again, I'm listing all the same things, right? These are the staples. Some fermented food, some sauerkraut, kimchi, fermented pickles. I'll just have some of those staples with me so that I can cobble some things together. Again, reading the situation in the room, there's some people where that makes them feel uncomfortable, like they're not good hosts, or, you don't know them very well, for example. So again, reading the room, I don't always just enter a space and completely take over and remove things from their fridge. I mean, again, we want to be respectful of other people's boundaries as well and what their needs are. But when you are by yourself, in an apartment or something, you can absolutely make sure that you've got some of these things so you can find that balance. Let's talk about preparing and recovering from, the week of debauchery, so to speak, or whatever terms we want to use. I'm not even putting a judgment on it. I kind of say that with love, let's go into the acidic orgy and have fun, right? But nevertheless, we want to do it in balance. So hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Just make sure going into the event, to the week, to the holiday weekend, the trip away, whatever it is, that you're just as hydrated as possible. So just drinking a lot of water, water-based beverages, herbal teas, eating, a lot of raw foods, a lot of salads, making at least one raw meal a day, eating something raw with every cooked meal, just like I was saying. If I'm going into the holiday season, I'll even do 2 raw meals and really load myself up so that I'm super, super hydrated before I go. Now, this is a bit next level, but I'm going to mention it to you in case you're interested. If I'm going on a long haul flight and I'm going into a holiday, a vacation where I know that I'm going to be going off the reservation, so to speak, because I do it just like everybody else, I will go and have a couple of colonics, and I will hydrate my body from the inside out, in addition to all these things that I'm talking about. Now, if you've never had a colonic, that's something you're not interested in, of course you don't need to do that, but I am going to mention it for those of you that are open to it and are already doing colonics. I've talked about that when we were leading our detox program. I talk about it a lot in Skinny 60, that is something that I do, and it's incredibly helpful because being on long haul flights, particularly, those that are 12, 14, 16, 18 hours, and I mean, in the coming years, we're going to have flights that are over 20 hours. They're incredibly dehydrating. So just making sure you're getting onto the plane really, really hydrated. Pushing the probiotics like I talked about, I'm going to talk about that again, making sure that you're consuming a lot of fermented foods leading up to it so that you've populated your gut with all of those good microbes, and you're good armies ready to go into battle for whatever comes at them. Leaning into a lot of plant foods, no matter what your dietary preferences are, just making sure that you're eating a variety of cooked and raw vegetables in a variety of colors. You're putting all of those alkaline forming foods. You've got mineral rich foods. A lot of fiber is already in your body. Your digestion's good. Your bowel movements are good. Going into the holidays already constipated and backed up, you're probably going to be in pain because, again, these festive holiday foods don't tend to contain a lot of fiber or water, and they tend to stop up the colon, which is why a lot of people get constipated during the holidays. Grabbing for the greens, making sure that you've eaten a lot of green foods going into the holidays, leafy greens in particular. They're pretty perfect foods. They contain a lot of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber, water, right? So I just eat a lot of green foods. Making sure that you're meeting your protein needs. I talk about this a lot on the podcast. Those of you in Skinny 60 know that's a huge part of the education in our program. Most people are not, most women in particular, are not even getting half the protein that they need. You cannot achieve better health if you're not eating protein. So just making sure that you're meeting your protein needs with quality sources and a variety of sources. I'm going to talk about moving your body again, preparing and how to recover. Just keep moving your body, doing some cardio, going for gentle walks to support better digestion and weight management. Managing your stress. The holidays can be really stressful. I've talked about how joyful they are and how much fun and whatever. I mean, there's always an argument in the family, isn't there? It's a cliche, but it's true. You might, be having people to stay, and even though you love them and you're so excited to see them, you want the house to be clean, you want it to look good, you want to make sure there's enough food for everybody, you want to make sure that the towels and the sheets are washed, and there's so many things to think about if you want to be a good host. Maybe you're going somewhere and you're worried, all the things I've been talking about, for whatever reason it might be. The holidays can be really, really stressful. Maybe you've got some work to do, some study, and you just haven't gotten it all done, and it's the worst possible time to be taking a week off or a weekend off or whatever. So just be noticing if you're experiencing elevated stress, and just be monitoring that. What do you need to do to bring yourself back into balance so that you don't fall apart and feel like you can't handle things and get really emotional and get really short with people because you're tired and you're stressed and all the things that we know can happen with the best of us. So just mindfully doing what you need to do to stay in balance. Do you need to go for a nap? Do you need to go for a bit of a walk? What relaxation practices? Do you meditate? Do you do yoga? Do you do Pilates? Do you go for a swim? Get in the sauna? Whatever it might be. Bounce on the trampoline. I mean, we all do different things. Go for a dance, put on a piece of music, go to a yoga class, whatever it might be, but do what you need to do to manage the stress. We know that stress manifests as inflammation in the body. We know that elevated stress messes with our blood sugar, our hormones, our sleep, our energy, our mood stability. And those things may be all out of whack, particularly if you're in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, or you're on some medication, and you've been through a surgery and you're in recovery. I mean, all those things really mess with our mood stability. So Just listening, paying attention to what you need. And if you need to go out on your own for a little bit, do what you need to do. So sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed with stimuli, even though I'm a social person. I just need 10 minutes to myself just to sort of clear my head, get a bit of fresh air. Sometimes you don't even need to tell anyone you're doing it. Or just say, I'm just going to go for a little walk, you know? And again, just take care of yourself and sleep. No shame in being the first one to go to bed. I've got no shame about that, by the way. When I'm ready to go, I go, right? Giving yourself permission to sleep in. Maybe that's not something you normally do, you know. You've been brought up to think that's lazy if you sleep in. No, it's your holiday. So sleep in, go to bed early, take naps. Oh, I love a good nap. Just, again, do what you need to do. Get outside as much as possible and get that hit of vitamin D. Let the sun kiss your skin for at least 15 minutes a day. Those of you in the Southern Hemisphere during the holiday season, sun everywhere, the weather's absolutely gorgeous. You may be in the Northern Hemisphere where it's quite dark, there's no daylight saving anymore, it's snowing, you don't want to get outside. It's a little bit more difficult to find the sun, but during the day, just get out, put your big coat on, get out in the sun just a little bit. And again, supplements. You may want to take some magnesium, some chlorophyll, some glutamine, digestive enzymes, probiotics, but again, discuss that with your practitioner. So let's talk about when the holidays are over, what can we do to recover and just sort of bring our bodies back into balance mindfully and in an accelerated way? So all the things I talked about for the preparation are also brilliant recovery strategies. So staying hydrated, eating probiotic-rich foods, eating plant foods, eating raw foods, all the things I talked about, moving your body, resting, sleeping, managing your stress, all of those things are great recovery strategies. In addition to that, you may want to do an all-liquid day, a whole liquid nutrition day is what we call it in Skinny 60. I've spoken about this on some other episodes. I almost didn't include the all-liquid day that we do once a week in the 60-day reset, except for the first week. Because I thought it would be too full on and too extreme for people. Turns out it's the most popular part of the program, except for the recipes. People absolutely love it because it makes your body feel amazing. So it's not fasting, it's not juicing. We do a mixture of whole form liquid nutrition. So smoothies with fiber, with nuts and seeds, we're getting protein, and then soups. So you could do some alkaline forming soups and some smoothies and just give your body a break from animal foods that are more difficult to digest if you consume animal foods, and just taking a break from really strenuous digestion. Digestion is an athletic endeavor. It requires so much energy from the body. And when you eat pre-digested foods and plant foods that are easier to digest, just gives your body reserves more energy for detoxification and regeneration. So it can really help the body to bounce back. The only caveat to that is that you may have a little bit less energy because you're detoxifying, and also you may not be taking in as many calories, as many carbohydrates, and as much protein as you're used to taking. So I wouldn't suggest doing that for a whole week, for example, because you wouldn't be meeting your protein needs. So one day is great. Just do that and see how you feel. If you are used to juicing and juice fasting, another really effective strategy is to juice fast for a day after the holidays and just clean your body out. And just do it on a day when you're not working out. You don't need to be at work. You can just rest, watch movies, take naps, just completely nourish your body and support that restoration. So you could do alkaline forming green juices that don't contain a lot of fruit and natural sugar, because otherwise that's a lot of sugar without any fiber and protein and healthy fats to offset the sugar spikes and crashes that can happen when you drink a lot of really high sugar juices. So just be mindful of that. But either one of those strategies can be really wonderful. If you're someone that does colonics, that's always a great idea after the holidays, is just go and do a series of colonics and support your body in getting rid of those mucoid forming heavy foods that can get caught up in the colon and can kind of stop us up, you know. So the other thing I'll say is, let's go back to balance. the beginning of the conversation of just finding that balance of self-care and fun, using the holidays as an opportunity to just learn, make some choices, make some memories, make all kinds of different choices. Don't worry about getting it right. Don't worry about coming out the other end of it perfectly, or really, don't worry about what's coming, a few days from now or a week from now or 2 weeks from now. Just take it step by step, choice by choice, and just make some choices and learn from them. And use the experiences to gather data, like I was saying, about your relationship with food, which foods make your body feel good and which foods don't. An opportunity to understand your relationship with food better and your body better. So I say this a lot during the 60-day reset, when someone says, oh gosh, I had to go to a wedding and I feel like I've fallen off the wagon and I'm so disappointed. I'm like, why? Did you have fun at the wedding? Was it an amazing memory? Yep. Okay, great. So there's nothing to feel ashamed or sorry about. What did you learn? Oh gosh, after 4 weeks of not doing gluten and dairy and added sugars, I've recognized just how much those foods affect my body. I felt awful. And then I realized, oh, that's actually how I was feeling every day before doing this program. And then I felt so incredible. And I said, well, but that's a great thing, because now you recognize that, because once your body feels amazing, you don't want to go back all the time. Sometimes you're going to choose to eat those foods knowing that you're not going to feel good, but you're going to make a happy memory, but you're not going to do it every day. So again, it's all about balance. So I think there's something to learn and there's value from every choice and every experience. So again, finding that balance of self-care and fun, taking the data, taking the lessons and moving on from there, because it all informs the next choice. So good, better, or best, not perfect. Like I said, it is my favorite philosophy, which is why I included it in Skinny 60 when I created the 60-day reset with our doctors and dietitians, and everybody loved it. And all of our members love it. It's a beautiful way to move through the world. So you just make a good choice, a better choice, maybe your best choice, but we're not aiming for perfection. It doesn't exist. Just aim to make the next better choice, learn from it, and then move on. So have a lovely holiday season, regardless of where you are in the world, whatever your religious beliefs, whatever you celebrate with family and friends, even if it's just work parties, wherever you are, have a lovely holiday season. Let me know in the Facebook group what you do to find balance during the holidays. Are there any practices? I'd be really interested to hear, and leave a review and let me know what resonated from this episode.
I want to hear about your It Has to Be Me story. So head on over to ithastobeme.com/stories to share it in our free community. You can also join the conversations we're having about this episode and others. I'm Tess Masters. Join me next week and we'll dive inside another great story to help us go from dreaming to doing.